English Language Curriculum is designed for students in Educación General Básica, Bachillerato General Unificado, whose mother tongue is not English. The curriculum also supports general education goals of justice, innovation, and solidarity by developing thinking, social, and creativity skills in the context of language learning. The following are some aspects and skills that Ecuadorian learners will need to engage successfully in a local and international communities in the 21st centuries. First, we have the core principles. It can be summarized as first, the communicative language approach. Then we have the content and language integrated learning. Then we have the international standards. Then we have the thinking skills. And finally, the learning-centered approach. 2. How English as foreign language contributes to exit profile of Ecuadorian high school students. Well, at this level, they will be able to communicate in every situation in English, able to solve basic problems and communicate basic needs in situations such as travels, work, or at the school. Other important aspects to consider in this part is bringing the gap between Educación General Básica Media y Educación General Básica Superior. As we know, when the learner graduate from the middle basic general education, in this case graduate from 7th EFL with a 2 level, a large part of language learning in these levels will be recycled in the first years of higher basic general education, but within a different context and combined with a new language. 3. Epistemological Foundations and Pedagogical Responses. The epistemological foundations of the EFL curriculum refer to how learners learn language and their reform.
Communication Treat 2 is divided into 3 sub-treats that are listening skill, spoken production, and spoken interaction. Listening skill focus on the students can apply different listening strategies of L1 to understand L2. Spoken production focuses on students learning fluency rather than precision when speaking finally. Oral interaction focuses in group spoken interaction to develop motivation and problem-solving skills. And in curricular treat 3, 4 sub-treats are taken into account: environment rich in literacy, reading comprehension, use of studies and skills, and transversal content. The sub-treats are based on the fact that language can improve depending on the environment in which the student is. In addition, reading comprehension helps the students develop recording skills. The last 2 sub-treats encourage the students to use resources such as libraries and the internet. The writing tree 4 is divided into 2 aspects that are initial literacy and text production. Initial literacy refers to daily life events such as reading a poster or receiving an email. In addition, the production of text refers to the context, purpose, and audience at the time of writing production. The treat name language through art is made up of 3 sub-treats. These 3 sub-treats help the students to engage in a wide variety of contexts, and while doing so, they also learn the language. Also helps the students to create another level in the relationship between the students and writing. Finally, stimulate the students to raw means such as dance or music. To be an Ecuadorian high school graduate and an ideal citizen, we must take into account 3 aspects: innovation, justice, and solidarity. This means that we must commit to building an egalitarian society. In addition, we must be open to change. And finally, we must commit to our origins. And finally, for the end of BTU in the area of English as a foreign language, we can find 7 general objectives that are to experience other cultures, understand the diversity in society, develop different skills, increase the ability to access learning opportunities, acquire the ability to use ICT in an efficient way, and be able to master the language.
English is a foreign language por sub-nivel elemental of educación general. I'm going to explain the contribution of the English as a foreign language to this curriculum. Learners at this level are able to relate to familiar contexts such as the home and school. By giving learners opportunities to communicate within this context, they will be better able to relate to English. Learners will also be encouraged to experience the English language in a variety of ways, through song, dance, art, crafts, music, and other subject areas like math and science, thus increasing vocabulary and experience of the language in ways similar to that in which a native speaker of English might. The curricular 3 number 1 is communication and cultural awareness. Here, learners should participate in many situations in which they can be exposed to the various social and communicative functions of the English language. As learners work together and learn acceptable forms of behavior, they will be improving the skills of tolerance and acceptance, as well as building a sense of national and local identity. In curricular 3 number 2, oral communication, we are going to develop two skills, listening and speaking. In speaking, we are going to develop speaking production and speaking interaction. Curricular 3 number 3. This is reading. Here we are going to develop reading comprehension. Here they understand individual words and making sense of the sound-word relationship. Study skills including ICT, in other words, learning how to learn, literacy-rich environment, also known as environmental terms such as street signs, logos, labels, price tags, candy wrappers, and road safety of warning signs. Cross-curricular content, for example, art, music, science, social science, drama, etc. In curricular 3 number 4 is writing. We're going to develop initial literacy. In EFL, elemental are to learn to understand writing mechanics, spelling, punctuation, and capitalization. In addition to developing handwriting and typography, writing on the computer. Text production, it also involves the ability to write a variety of text types, both in print and online. And finally, we have curricular 3.5, a language through the arts. At this level, the contact that learners will have with literature and the arts is assumed to the moment that enhances and strengthens learners' aesthetic sensibilities and imagination, while improving memory and linguistic macro skills.
Based on the curriculum objectives of EFL for subnivel elemental of Educación General Básica, it's important to highlight two details below, since at the end of this subnivel elemental of Educación General Básica, and as a result of the learning process of the EFL area, the students must first identify main ideas and details in written text in order to develop critical and creative thinking to promote problem solving and independent learning using spoken and written English. Finally, to be able to interact English fluency by using basic expression and short phrases in familiar context, to demonstrating a lively relationship with the English language through interaction with written and oral text. Based on curriculum 3.1, it's mandatory to achieve as performance criteria of EFL. A student must exchange limited personal information in class and use common expression of politeness. In curriculum 3.2, it's mandatory to understand meanings, recognize familiar names, words, and short phrases. Regarding the curriculum 3.3, it's mandatory to demonstrate basic reading comprehension skill. However, it's desirable to understand most of the details of the content and short simple text. Concerning of curricular 3.4, it's mandatory written simple words, phrases, and sentences with the correct use of standard written mechanics. Nevertheless, it's desirable to write a short, simple paragraph to describe yourself of someone. Regarding to curricular 3.5, it's mandatory to generate and expand its ideas by responding in a fun and playful manner to oral and written text, but it's desirable to produce short creative text using ECT or other resources at home or at the school. In the analysis of evaluation criteria for English as a foreign language in Educación General Básica Elemental in Curriculum 3.1, we have as a main points methodological orientation, general EFL area, objectives begins assessed, how the objectives contribute to exit profile, skills and performance discretion to evaluate and indicators for the performance criteria. We as a teacher must focus on the development of students' skills at the time of being evaluated. The objective is focuses on the different cultures to understand the role of diversity in the construction of an intercultural and multinational society. which will result in a better development of understanding, and that citizens are more sociable. The environment in which we live is a main aspect that must be analyzed.
Okay, I'm going to explain about the curricular thread number 2, that is oral communication, in which we have listening and speaking. Okay, I'm going to explain about what we have in evaluation criteria, what we have in methodological orientation for evaluation criteria, and some others. It is important to mention that I'm going to explain just one page, because in the formal curriculum, we have a lot of pages that explain different evaluation criteria, and for that reason, different methodological orientation for evaluation criteria, and some others. So I'm going to start. As you can see in the screen, in this case, we have that the evaluation criteria is focused on production and pronunciation. It means to produce individual words and short phrases clearly enough that other people can usually understand it easily. Then we have the methodological orientation for evaluation criteria. It is how performance criteria could be evaluated. So in the screen you can see 4 of them, but I'm just read one of them. The first one, it says asking the students simple questions about themselves, their family, or their possessions, and checking whether their response are comprehensible. In here we have an example. For example, what's your name? How do you spell Juan? And some others. Then we have general EFL area objectives being assessed. As its name says, here we have the objectives, and you can see 2 of them. The first one, it says access greater flexibility of mind, creativity, enhance linguistic intelligence, and critical thinking skills through an appreciation of linguistic difference. Next, we have how the objectives contribute to the exit profile. In here we have that we can communicate in a clear manner in our own and other languages. We can make use of different codes of communication, such as numerical, digital, artistic, and gestures. We take responsibility for what we say. Then we have the skills and performance descriptors to be evaluated. In here we have 3, but I just write those that are mandatory. And the first one, it says imitate individual English language sounds, especially those phonemes which don't exist in the student's own. And finally, we have indicators for the performance criteria. We have that learners can pronounce most familiar vocabulary items accurately and can therefore usually be easily understood. They can also produce some phrases and short sentences clearly, and may approximate English rhythm and intonation in longer utterances. And finally, we have the last code, in which we have all the topics. So that's all. Thank you.